Good morning. So I'm on the train heading into London, and as you can see, my partner's not here. The original plan had been for us to ride together up to Stephen's activity and then separate. I'm not actually doing Stephen's activity today, and we'll talk more about why later. But after 21 years, there's nothing wrong with a little mystery and doing something on your own sometimes. We have a lot of really fun things planned together. So even if you're like, wait, I thought this was a partner trip, it totally is. But what Stephen's getting up to today versus what I'm getting up to today, we both picked to do what we wanted to do. So I look forward to sharing it with you, and I can't wait to find out what you think. So when your P1 is going to go make beer all day, what's a P2 to do? Well, this P2 is going to go and find some really fun things to do in London. I really struggled with trying to figure out what on earth I could do. I mean, there's all the usual stuff, but knowing the frequent miler readers as I do after watching you all for so many years, you guys already probably have done all of the major things. And if you haven't, you know how to find them. Then I thought to myself, well, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and there's tons of Harry Potter themed things. Well, not everybody's a huge Harry Potter fan. Then I thought, well, I love books. I could do a whole book themed adventure. Well, again, just because I love books doesn't mean that your frequent miler reader does. So I thought to myself, what could I do? And I was chatting with my friend, and I said, I want to try and get like a smattering of off the beaten track kind of places in London that most people may not have been to, or they may have been to one or to two, but not to all of them. And she said, what about the Monopoly board? So the UK Monopoly board is different than the US Monopoly board. And I thought this was a brilliant idea because you know how Frequent Miler loves to gamify everything they do, including their challenges. So I thought, what better way to do it than to bring the game to you? So we're going to play Monopoly together today. We're going to roll the dice and see where it takes us and go to a bunch of places all around London. Don't worry, I've got our little token to get started. So come on, let's go have some fun. Our first stop is King's Cross Station, and you certainly can't come to King's Cross Station without going to platform 9 3/4. I decided to wait in the line, but if you don't want to, you can just skip it and go straight into the platform 9 3/4 shop. We are here at the second stop on our Monopoly tour. We've just come out of the Angel Underground, and this is the Islington High Street. We're actually going to be heading where the old Angel pub was. The thing that's interesting is that this is the only stop on the Monopoly board that's not for a thoroughfare or an area of London. So sadly, one of my little plans went awry, as is wont to happen when you're out traveling. And I had found an amazing cafe that I thought foodie like Greg and, amazing artist like Carrie and, cool guy like Tim and always looking for new great stops, Nick. I really thought that I'd found the perfect place called the Candid Cafe here in Angel, near Angel in Islington. And unfortunately, it's closed. It opens at noon. I really thought I checked and rechecked and double checked all of my places, but alas, that's the way things go. So I'm going to carry on and try and find somewhere else to grab a little cuppa. So as you can see, it's gotten a little bit worse for wear, but welcome to coming to London. So I grabbed a little hot chocolate. I'm going to carry on my way. Just walked from the Moorgate stop on the Northern Line down here to Liverpool Street Station. I am here for a Monopoly stop. But one of the things I love about London is its mix of new and old. I love that we've got this completely modern statue right outside all of these old buildings, old pubs established 1799, all of these things that just make London just an incredibly cool place to visit or live. Of the new and the old, here we are at the Liverpool Street Station, one of the railways on the UK Monopoly board. Let's go inside and check it out. So one of the reasons that I wanted to stop here is because of this. So this was the railway station that started the point for many children as part of the kinder transport. So when children were sent outside of London during the bombings of World War II, they left through this station, and they have a statue to it. One of the things that's really great about stopping here at Liverpool Street Station is also that there's so much complimentary seating as well as free Wi-Fi. So it's a great place to stop, have a little rest, recharge your phone, check your emails, like whatever you need to do. There's all this great free seating and things like that. And then if you were to head straight out through there, I got a tip from a local that there is a market. It's a terrible day today, so there's probably not too much to see over there. But it's something like Spitalfield Market. Sorry if I got that wrong. I'm trying to remember what he said. But he said, yeah, really great food, really affordable. And so grab something from there and come sit inside, especially when it's raining like it is today. So let's also talk about the nitty-gritty of travel, which is using the restroom. So I can also say that mid-morning, if you find yourself at Liverpool Street Station on this tour that I've created, great public restroom. So there you go. So I wanted to take a second to tell you about The Big Issue. So this is a magazine that is a social enterprise. And basically in the 90s, two men decided that they would create a magazine that people who are either homeless or who are vulnerable and experiencing the possibility of homelessness would be able to get legitimate income. And then they would be able to help kind of re-enter the mainstream workforce and things like that. And so it's full of current events and entertainment and things like that. It's currently £4 for one of these, although I went ahead and gave 5. Don't tell Stephen, he'll be upset about my budget probably. But and what happens is that the person who is selling it buys the cover price half off and then sells it for a profit. And so yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit about The Big Issue. If you find yourself here in London or other places in the UK and you see it, might be something you want to support. So another option you have, if it's a beautiful day, is to grab some lunch from Spitalfield Market or something else nearby. And then there's this fantastic little plaza area, which is great for seating. One of the things Stephen and I love is a day where serendipity kind of takes you to unexpected places. And I feel like I found one. So I'm on my very timed schedule, and as I was walking by, I noticed on Google Maps a sign for a charnel house, and I was curious what that was, so I looked it up. This is the charnel house, which was the crypt of the chapel of St. Mary Magdalene and St. Edmund the Bishop. And it was built here in around 1320, and it was found during archaeological excavations in 1999. What makes this so interesting is they do have older foundations as well, so there may have been another building here before. But what jumped out at me is a little bit of the macabre history, which is that bodies that were disturbed in the cemetery or people who died of famine or even the plagues would have been buried here. Our next stop is also a little bit macabre, so it kind of fit right in. Street, the entrance to our next stop. And I purposely chose us to come this way because of the architecture. So you can see here, this is a hotel called Batty Langley's, and then there is the Dennis Severs house. So these homes are indicative of what would have been here in the 1800s. And in the late 1800s, we end up in the Whitechapel area in a very famous time with Jack the Ripper and the Whitechapel murders. Kind of feel like being on Stephen's team. I should go in here, but I already have other places planned. Another time. But if it interests you, it's right down the road from our next stop. Here we are at our next stop, the 10 Bells, originally called the 8 Bells, and then the name was changed to match the number of bells at the church next door. We're inside the 10 Bells. It was renovated in 2010, to bring it back to its Victorian roots. The pub has existed in some form or another since the mid-1700s, although it's definitely been registered as the 8 Bells Ale House and then the 10 Bells since the late 1700s. But how is it associated with the Whitechapel murders and the story of Jack the Ripper? Well, 2 of the women who were murdered were thought to have had drinks here just before their unfortunate demise. Also, one of the women was thought to be a prostitute working on the stones right out front. They even renamed the pub in the 70s and 80s to Jack the Ripper, but during a campaign called Reclaim the Night, it was thought that maybe the murder of women shouldn't be commemorated in this way, and so the name was changed back. So I'm really excited about my lunch stop. I booked a reservation for it 2 weeks ago. This is now our Bow Street stop, and honestly, I couldn't be more excited. It is London's oldest restaurant called Rules. Now, the one thing is, Rules has a dress code, which is why I looked a little fancy for just walking around London today. Now, that being said, I couldn't possibly traipse around London in the kind of shoes that would be required for Rules. So I'm doing a quick little costume change and hiding my backpack into a cream tote bag. And so I know I'm looking a little bit more raccoon than tycoon after 5 hours of walking around London in and out of the rain and 3 hours of sleep on the airplane. But I'm hoping that I meet the standards to be able to have a light lunch at Rules and still keep within our budget for our 100K vacay. So I just finished lunch at Rules, which is London's oldest restaurant. And I loved that it fit in with my theme. I loved that it was a part of where I was trying to have it with Bow Street. It's in the general area. Bow Street's actually just kind of around the corner here. The food was fantastic. I had an amazing starter, and then I had a delicious pudding. I also enjoyed a Rules Bellini. So I ended up having my whole meal, including a bit of a gratuity, for around £53. So again, when you only have $1,000 on your 100K to 100K vacay, I was going to say to far away. That was 40K to far away. Your 100K vacay. Obviously, every dollar and every pound counts. But I found a way to make this replicable, to go to a lovely restaurant, have an enjoyable meal. I think it might have been a little bit more fun with someone else. As an extrovert, it was a little hard to just sit by myself. And of course, because it's a beautiful restaurant, you don't want to have your phone out and things like that. But again, I can't recommend it highly enough. And I hope that it gets us some bonus points with our foodie Greg. Here we are at Trafalgar Square with Big Ben in the distance. Here we are in Leicester Square. As you can see, there are tons of fun things that you could do here. I'm actually going to come over this way and take a little bit closer look at the Shakespeare statue. And then I'm going to make my way back across the square to see the Swiss glockenspiel go off at the top of. When you come to Leicester Square for one famous person and you get an even more famous person, Paddington! Well, we can hear the other church bells go. I guess the Swiss clock is definitely not working. I wasn't entirely sure. Obviously with the scaffolding I wondered, but I wasn't completely sure. So sadly it looks like this one is a little bit of a bust. So another unexpected stop. And you're going to be like, wow, really, Shae? But I had to come to McDonald's because the Monopoly game is here right now. What? It's perfection. So I'm going to give it a little pull. See what we get. It's really hard to hold your phone and peel at the same time. All right, we might have to do this through the magic of TV. Through the magic of TV. Oh, it's nice and loose. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We got the Angel, Islington, and Leicester Square. And we're in Leicester Square. Little view of Coventry Street. Lots of great souvenir shops, all kinds of other fun things, as well as obviously being in the West End. On your way to Piccadilly, takes you through Piccadilly Circus. Here we go into Hatchard's, the oldest bookstore in England. Here we are, Regent Street. The architecture here is beautiful, even if you're not into shopping, particularly maybe at the stores that are here. Really is just a fantastically fun street to walk, although there's nothing wrong with a bit of fun shopping either. Families! Toys, toys, toys! And a double-decker bus. And here we have Liberty of London. You might be familiar with it for any number of reasons. I am actually familiar with it because it is the scene from Cruella. This is actually where she goes to work during the movie with Emma Stone. Another beautiful architectural street here, but also lots of fun shopping and cafes in Mayfair. On our way to a place that I think if it were open and we had time would have made an amazing visit today. But I still want to go because I want to highlight it for you for your future visit. So here it is. This is the Handel Hendricks house. And basically, it honors the lives of two great musicians, Handel, who wrote The Messiah, and Jimi Hendrix. Both lived in this building at 23 and 25 Brook Street during their lifetimes. So it closed at 5 o'clock, but incredibly cool location to be able to come back and see for yourself sometime. Whoops, so it turned out I was around the back. Here it is the front. George Frederick Handel lived here from 1723 and he died here in this house. And next door, Jimi Hendrix lived here from 1968 to 1969. The Marble Arch, here right at the edge of Hyde Park. So you can see some oak trees behind me. We are at the site of the Tyburn Gallows hanging tree. Basically, there was a triangular gallows that was here, and for over 650 years, they hanged people. About 50,000 people were executed in this way, and notable names include Oliver Cromwell. He was already dead, but he was disinterred and hung here in the 1600s. Many of the people who were hanged here also were dragged from the Tower of London to be hanged here. Nearby, which we're not going to have time to get to today, but right behind me, through here in the park, is also Speaker's Corner, so where people could go and speak about political issues that matter to them, and also Reformer's Tree, where again, people were talking about religious and political issues that mattered to them and trying to make change in their community. So I wanted to share that because it's kind of a little bit lesser known history here. And while we're talking about politics and political things, we still have one more location to go to, and that is Whitehall, which is pink on the UK Monopoly board, and the site of all things political and law enforcement. As far as views and locations go for our final stops, this isn't too bad. If you peek through those trees, you can see the Houses of Parliament, and Westminster Abbey is that way as well. And if I back up just a little, we get a little peek at Big Ben. After 9 hours of exploring London, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been happier to find myself in jail. So my grand plan had been to end up at the Speakeasy here at the Great Scotland Yard Hotel. Sadly, they had an event going on, so I've ended up in the 40 Elephants. But I love that because it's actually about women who were criminals, and I think that's just the perfect way to end my day. I ended up picking a cocktail about Alice Diamond, known as Diamond Annie. She became the head of a gang when she was 20. The cocktail is delightful. And just to let you know, Greg has done a bottom line review of this hotel, so you can check that out on Frequent Miler. But as jail goes, it's really not that terrible, although I am really glad I got that community chest and that get out of jail free card. See you all tomorrow.